Hello everyone and welcome back to Nate the Hoof Guy. As promised, today's video we are tackling this claw right here. This particular trim is going to provide the perfect opportunity to answer a bunch of the questions that I get commonly from you guys. So let's get right into the action. One question that I get quite often is, how long has that problem been there? The way we determine that is based on the layers of horn separation that we have around these particular problems. In this case, we have got several different layers of horn separation, which means this problem has been a recurring problem over time. The natural follow-up to that question is, if this took time to develop or was happening over time, did that mean that she was limping that whole time? And not necessarily. A lot of times, cows are very good at changing their gait to remove that pain from that particular claw. On an outside claw on a back foot like this, they can simply turn their foot, toe out we call it, and to put more of that weight toward that medial claw or that inside claw, and that's going to rest naturally this lateral claw. But what happens over time is if we don't get this area cleaned up, that can be a recurring problem. That ulceration can still be in there, and even though she's beginning to walk better or figuring out ways to walk, and even though we've got separation there that's trying to allow this particular problem to heal naturally, it can't do that because of those layers of separation are trapping stuff on the inside. So we have flare-ups. She'll be able to, over time, change the way she walks a little bit. That claw, the angles of that claw will change. She'll put more pressure toward the toe, but she can only do that so long, and then it begins to affect her again. And that's kind of why we see these periods of changing lameness. She may be lame a little bit, and then she's not lame at all, and that'll give the farmer the idea that whatever she had, the problem she had, has gone away, when in fact she's just being able to alter that a little bit by the way she walks. In fact, on this case, when she walked into the trailer, I didn't even notice there was any lameness whatsoever until I started to work on it, and then I saw it, and that's why you notice this trim was already underway when I turned that camera on. One of the questions I get from hoof trimmers is, why do you put salicylic acid on a white line if you don't see digital dermatitis there? And this is a perfect example of why I do that. There is digital dermatitis on this one, but at the early stages, you likely would not have been able to see that. And a lot of these lesions that don't end up healing, it's because they become infected with that digital dermatitis. So salicylic acid I use in those cases as a preventative treatment. Even though I don't see it right now, I know that this can end up being a long-term problem if we don't take care of that right away. So I treat that right away to make sure that we kill any of that bacteria that could be there, to make sure that we get that good healing happening right away and we don't have progression like we see in this case. Now that I've said right away enough times, I'm going to quit saying that for the rest of this video. Another area I get a lot of questions has to do with my knives. Why are some of your knives thinner? Why are some thicker? Which ones do you use for what? How often do you sharpen them? How many knives do you carry? All questions like that. Well, at each station on my chute, I've got multiple knives. Some are thicker and some are thinner. The thinner ones I'm using for more precise cuts like I'm doing here. The reason they're thinner is just from multiple times being sharpened. They all start at the same stage. The thicker knives I use for more heavy-duty cutting. Those thinner ones for more precise cuttings. I sharpen my knives every single day. Every one of my knives, I sharpen them. Whether I use them or not, I want to make sure that that edge is there because you never know what you're going to run into, and you want to have as many sharp knives as you can. Now that I've begun using this abrasive disc to prep for blocks, I've gotten questions on, why don't you use that disc all the time? And why don't you just use that for removing material instead of having multiple different wheels now? A couple of reasons. Number one, it's not nearly as aggressive for taking off material as my carbides are. And number two, using an abrasive disc all the time will create heat. I don't want to do that. My carbides, they shave the hoof. These abrasive discs are they're abrasive. So naturally there's going to be heat produced. I don't want that when I'm dealing with cows' hooves. Now, like many other trims, we're going to get this area cleaned up really well, and we're going to give her that salicylic acid wrap to take care of this problem. Give you a side view here, and you can see how that added elevation protects this claw. Well, hopefully that cleared up a bunch of those questions you guys had. And from 1558 and myself, as always, thanks for watching, and we will see you all on the next one.